Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Okay, so many of you have asked me how I add protein into my diet. I'll be very honest here. I struggle the same just like you. It's not magical. It's not because I have a chef's background. That's why I do it better than you. No, I also struggle with it. I just happen to have a bigger appetite than some of you, but it doesn't make it any easier. I know that after a long day's work and on top of that, maybe even an evening session at the gym, the last thing you want to do is to go into the kitchen, then you have to plan your meal, then you have to cook, then you have to clean. It's kind of gets a little bit tiring, doesn't it? So if you don't want to cook, what can you do? You can take shortcuts. Of course, you can buy takeaway food, you can call delivery. But when you do that, a lot of the times you're not able to control or know what is going on inside your food, right? Singapore is notorious for having takeout foods that are full of carbohydrates and very low in protein, sometimes even no protein or negligible amounts. So if you want to know exactly what's going on in your food, you have to cook it for yourself. Over the last 2 years, I have found a few ways that helps me shorten all of these processes with one protein in particular, which is chicken breast. And I've grown to like it very much. I know that in some of your eyes, chicken breast is the inferior protein. It's bland, it's dry, it's not tasty. In fact, I like to think the opposite of it completely. Chicken breast is low in fat. It's very high in protein comparatively to other parts of the chicken. And because it's bland, it gives you a blank canvas to make it jazz it up any way you want. This video, I would like to focus more on chicken breast. I'll show you exactly the ways that I prepare chicken breast so that it's more efficient for me to have different options in my fridge and the freezer. And I'll also go through some meal options that perhaps you can try out yourself. Before we start cooking any chicken at all, I prefer to brine it first. I give it a really good salt brine so that it's not dry and tasteless as some of you call it. The end result is a lot more tender, juicy, and flavorful. By the way, this is my favorite chicken from Red Mart. I buy it all the time. You can see from my purchase history. So once you take the chicken out of the bags, you want to give it a really nice salt rub all over every surface. You want to use about 2% of the chicken's weight. Here is 800 grams of chicken, so I'm using about 16 grams of salt. And yep, trust me, you need that much salt. Salt brining is helpful in three main ways. Firstly, the salt denatures the protein strands, and throughout the cooking process, there is less moisture loss and it results in a much more juicy chicken breast. Secondly, because of the salt, when it penetrates through the meat itself, it's a lot more flavorful and it tenderizes the meat. So when you cut it open, it's flavored throughout. It's not just salty on the outside. The whole thing is tasty. And lastly, the salting process also allows you to buy more time with the meat. So if you think about it, you buy raw meat from the supermarket and it spoils very quickly the next day, or you're in a rush to cook it right away, right? Brining it will buy you just that little bit more time. I personally have pushed it to 3 up to 4 days. I don't recommend it, but 2 days is a really good amount of time for you to plan about what you want to do with the chicken. After 24 to 48 hours of brining, your chicken is ready to be cooked. You can either just cook it now, like how I'm doing it in this video. You grill it and then put it in the salad, or you can poach it and eat it a later day. And in this case, I am frying up some chicken breast that have already been brined and covered in some Old Bay seasoning. I'm just simply searing it. And at the same time, I'm also preparing a small salad to go with it. I like cucumbers and tomatoes because they keep really well in the fridge. Again, I don't want to think too much about whether they're rotting. Cut the chickens up into smaller pieces and that's it. This is the meal. Simple and quick and very tasty. The next method I'll show you is poaching the chicken breasts. I really like this method because it allows me to cook the chicken in a big batch so that I can store them for using at a later date. Or I can also always have readily cooked chicken to top up on protein in any meals anytime I want. To poach the chicken breasts, you want to prepare a pot of room temperature water. Tap water will do just fine. You want to have enough water in the pot to let the meat float around freely inside the pot as you simmer it over your lowest heat setting. The water should not be bubbling at all. So why do I use room temperature water and not hot or boiling water? The poaching process will start at a lower temperature because you want the water's temperature to rise slowly along with the temperature of the chicken. So think about it, if you start with hot water, the outer surface of the chicken meat will be cooked first. And by the time the inside is cooked, outside will be tough and overcooked. You don't want that. The poaching cooking method is a very gentle heat process where the chicken actually doesn't overcook. The entire time your chicken breast will arrive to maybe about 60 to 70 degrees Celsius, which is in fact food safe. You don't want to cook the chicken to 100 degrees Celsius. That is overcooking. So with the brining and the poaching, your end result of the chicken breast is juicy, tender, and moist. After poaching, you can keep it in the fridge for another 3 days. See, you've brined it, it's 2 days, and then you've poached it, it's another 3 days. So that's a really long time. If you know quite early on that you cannot finish the meat, put it in the freezer. You can store it in the freezer for a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. Freezing it doesn't mean you can keep it in there indefinitely, but please use it. However, personally, I have kept it maybe about 3 to 4 months, defrosted it, and I could still use it. It tasted fine after defrosting. I wouldn't say it tastes as bright as when it's cooked fresh, but it's good enough for you to add it into soups and sauces and any quick meals that you want to have. For example, here are 2 ways that I'm using it. Here I'm preparing a quick pasta dish with the chicken I've just shredded. I've cut up some vegetables under 2 minutes, and the chicken goes in later on because I don't want it to be too dry. Here are some frozen shallot and garlic. Early prep helps. And a bit of tomato paste. I'm really cooking like a mishmash pasta dish, so it's not really like a specific recipe. It can be cooked in any way you want as well. If it's just tomatoes, that works as well. After some seasoning, salt and pepper, and pasta is done. I know the video is shortened, but in reality, I did spend only 10 minutes on this dish. So no excuse for you either. Here's another way I like to use the chicken. I toss it in some seasoning and give it a quick sear on a really, really hot pan. This gives it a nice char on the outside, but still keeps it really moist and tender inside. So once it's done, you can see that I've shredded this up. It's really juicy and tender still in the middle. Okay, I'm really exposing one of my lazier sides of how I work in the kitchen. I always have some frozen rice and frozen vegetables lying around in the freezer, and I just give it a quick nuke. I take it out, some seasoning, a bit of butter, and yeah, that's how I have a base rice bowl kind of thing with some protein. And after this, I will add maybe some fresh tomatoes or cheese or mayo. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you found anything in any of my videos that works wonderfully for you, please let me know. Take pictures, take videos. I would love to see them. And with that, happy cooking, and I'll see you soon.